Hey guys, some gamer dude here. So last week Bandai released a how to play app for Digimon that doubled as a taster for the full game. Much more love and care was put into this than Dragon Ball Super's similar app. I was planning a video comparing Digimon to Chrono Clash before my actual review, so this video will merge that comparison with my initial impressions. I'm not going to use this app for review purposes, as games are very different in paper to what they are digitally, and I would like to review the game in the medium it will be played in. Besides, I'm just waiting for the yellow deck to complete so I can finish up my proxies and print out the decks to play around with. I've got red and blue ready and raring to go. I'm also going to talk about Digimon as if you have a good idea on how to play it already. Unlike a review, I don't believe a first impressions is the right place to talk about the gameplay extensively. Digimon is exactly what it appeared to be, a Chrono Clash mod, literally the exact same game with some very slight modifications and one addition. I don't regard that as the negative it sounds like. I'm more interested in what Digimon changes, what effects those changes have upon the game, and if those changes give the game its own identity. The first thing that really struck me is the Digitama mechanic. The Digitama deck replaces the Chrono Clash's extra deck. Chrono Clash's extra deck is frankly nothing but an annoyance with its oversized cards, and due to how they are played, tributes, they are not always worth the loss in card advantage. They are Timmy cards through and through. They're made to be impressive, but they're not the most efficient things to play. Digimon takes the opposite side of the spectrum with Digitama. Each turn you can hatch a Digitama if you have no Digimon in your raising area, or send a level 3 rookie Digimon out if you have one in your raising area. You get benefits in no summoning sickness and gaining source abilities, wherein the current level of Digimon gets the source effects of the Digimon it evolved from. I'll talk more about evolution next, but the Digitama as a whole feel a lot more ingrained into Digimon as a mechanic when compared to Chrono Clash's extra deck, because it's quite literally born from it. It doesn't give the feel of something tacked on or a hindrance. It's also the start of Digimon's focus on evolution. I suspect as things progress with the game as a whole, we'll get build around Digitama. It really feels like that's the angle they'll go for. Evolution has been a feels-good mechanic in all games it's been in since its origins in Pokemon over 20 years ago. Even if it's not terribly efficient in some games, seeing numbers go up does give a good feeling in our brains. It's visual progress being made, literal growth. Digimon's evolution mechanic does that well, especially with the Digitama and flavour of the Digimon franchise. But it's more what evolution does to the game as a whole that interests me. Digimon as a whole is much slower than Chrono Clash. If you're familiar with Chrono Clash, you'll know that this is a positive in Digimon's favour, but there's a few reasons why. Starting with evolution. The game actively promotes evolution. Both source effects and lower costs do this. Even if you don't get a source effect, you still want to do this for lower costs, higher power, and maybe use that level without a source effect as a bridge to a better card. The lower costs, as it does with Chrono Clash system, gives your opponent less resources to play with. Putting a restriction on what your opponent can do is a big part of gameplay, and it's more so here because the game doesn't really set itself up for opening with a 5 and your opponent punishing that with a 7. You start with a rookie, maybe go up to a champion or summon an additional rookie. You're giving your opponent very little resources, but because of this, they're going to do the same. If you summon something without evolving, you're giving your opponent a ton of advantage to both evolve and go wider. It doesn't really become a part of the game till you can generate additional resources via cards like Metal Greymon as a source effect or Mat. Because of this, boards are very small and can be dealt with. On top of this, you have the cards themselves. Let's hone in on the Breaker series cards, what this game calls Security Attack. I never noticed how liberally the mechanic is used in Chrono Clash system, but with just these decks, it's actually pretty rare. Only 3 cards can have or can give it. Nothing has it natively without restrictions. These cards individually are actually rather weak in terms of skills, again, promoting evolution to create stronger cards. But they never really seem to get up to the stronger side of Chrono Clash system. I think it's also notable that the shield trigger type effects are exclusively on option and tamer cards. Digimon retain the fight back as a shield mechanic Chrono Clash system has, but the liberal use of shield trigger effects isn't really here in the same way. Finally is the blocker mechanic. I felt a lot of confirmation bias trying this game out. I've said for a long time the Chrono Clash system needs blockers, and lo and behold, I was right. Digimon is a much better experience thanks to blockers. Sentinel is a bad mechanic because it gives control to the attacker. It's a proactive defense instead of reactive. The attacker chooses how to deal with it in a way that least hurts their push. It can have use with large beefy sentinels, but it shouldn't be the default defensive mechanic. Blocker is a reactive mechanic that gives control to the defender. They choose what attacks they deal with and how. This of course balances the game out a lot. Digimon introduces an enchantment type card in Tamers. I really don't have an opinion about it. It's not like enchantments haven't been seen before. I think it's notable in gameplay that you have no answers for them though. One thing that hit me is that Digimon is far more willing to play with the security than Chrono Clash system is with Guardians. Increase their stats, gain additional security much easier than Chrono Clash system, scry them. This does play into the slower gameplay Digimon has over Chrono Clash, but it does raise questions why Chrono Clash system's devs haven't thought of this. Stat gains are pretty basic stuff. They should have thought of this. Maybe it's got to do with Sentinel, I don't know. Another thing that hit me is just how well defined the colour pie is here. Very basic stuff. Red is aggro, blue is proactive control, yellow is defensive control. Red plays with buffs and destruction, blue plays with bounce memory generation and source destruction, yellow plays with debuffs and security. Each deck is very basic and are made up of cycles of cards, but the flavour is very apparent with the cards that are in colour theme. I'm curious how they'll expand these colours mechanically. I did think it was interesting that in a change from Duel Masters, and even Chrono Clash itself, defensive measures, blocker, is seemingly across all colours. We don't know about green, but given that red has it, I presume it does have it. I think that's a decent change. I usually loathe the blurring of colours in TCGs, making every colour do everything. It makes the colours pointless. But for now, colours have enough individual identity to allow for this. Side note, I really like yellow. I like playing with the security. I think it goes without saying that I like Digimon quite a lot, and it does improve on Chrono Clash system. But there is something that bothers me. Digimon could have been done in Chrono Clash system. That kept eating at me. There is nothing about Digimon that couldn't have been done in Chrono Clash system. Enchantment type cards could have been introduced. Blockers too. As the Evangelion sets show, the evolution mechanic could have been done in Chrono Clash. If they were willing to give up on the extra deck or change it up for certain IPs, they could have done Digitama. Not even the effects are so complex that they couldn't have been done with icons, even if I will admit Ava does show the limitations of the icons. Then we have the superior card design of Digimon really illuminating Chrono Clash system's issues, all of which could have been fixed. It's not like Chrono Clash system isn't getting better either. Ava is the best set they've done. It's just that Digimon does cover all the problems and goes one step further. Ultimately, Digimon and Chrono Clash are literally so close that you could shave the zeros off the DP from the Digimon and they'd be fully compatible. Frankly, Digimon is the best Chrono Clash set. It's literally the same game. I feel conflicted, I really do. As I said, I do like Digimon and I can't wait to play it with my proxies, but I'm not sure it validates its own existence. I'm not sure it has its own identity. Yes, the evolution mechanic could be considered its identity. It's the mechanical sales point. It's the focal point of the game. But as I said, it could have been done in Chrono Clash system. I probably wouldn't have felt so conflicted had Digimon's identity been something Chrono Clash system couldn't have done. Something outside of Chrono Clash system's design parameters. Not even the text so far are things Chrono Clash system couldn't convey, even if they would require new icons. This whole Digimon Chrono Clash system issue does lead into a video I've been working on, talking about how we look at TCGs with similarities, but I want to leave the takeaway from today's video as this. My initial impression of Digimon is that the game is good. The mechanics it employs do suit the flavour of the franchise, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I could totally see buying this game. I just wish it did something new that Chrono Clash couldn't. This has been Some Gamer Dude, and thanks for watching.